Ohio State pushed hard for the first time this season in the win over Penn State. What does that mean for Michigan next week? Nathan Baird was just wondering that. What does it mean, Nathan?
I don't know that it means a whole lot, frankly. I think next week is a completely different challenge. Not only is it a huge rivalry and at a level that the Penn State game just isn't, at least from Ohio State's standpoint, perspective, the fan base, the team, everything, school from top to bottom. It's also on the road. And today was the first time Ohio State's had to pass a challenge in the fourth quarter, but they still get to do it at home, and they still get to do it without ever relinquishing the lead. It's a very different situation going into a place as hostile as Michigan Stadium in a rivalry like that and trying to win on the road. And the way Michigan's been playing, although it looked like they're struggling against Indiana early on today, we'll see how that turns out. But to me, it's just a completely different challenge. There are probably some things that can carry over as far as the way that they played today, but I think the challenge is completely different.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Based on what Ohio State did today, do you believe more strongly or less strongly that Ohio State will beat Michigan?
I think it's kind of a mixed bag because the adversity today was largely self-created. The turnovers and things like that they created the adversity they had to respond to today for the most part. I think if they just avoid the adversity, they win this game more easily, and we're not talking about how it was a big fourth quarter stand.
Steven.
I think Penn State showed if you have a level of talent and a decently athletic quarterback, there are some ways you can poke holes in the defense, even if it is the best defense in the country. Those QB draws worked a lot of times. They got to the edge a little bit more than I think any team has this season against Ohio State. And Tayshaun played today, so that's against a fully staffed defense, and they were able to do that. They would get to the edge sometimes, but then they would run a lot of QB draws with Will Levis up the middle, and he would get those off time and time again. Shea Patterson can do those things as well. He has the same level of athleticism as Penn State's quarterbacks have today. So if anything, they showed this is the best defense in the country, obviously, but they showed some ways that you can have a little bit of success.
I do think getting pushed will lock Ohio State in a little bit. Ryan Day seemed to say that after the game, like, hey, maybe we needed a tough one. I think Ryan Day said, I said to one of the other coaches, maybe it's been too easy thus far. I think I believe a little less that they will beat Michigan. I still think they will, but I thought if you thought coming into the Penn State game that Ohio State was like invincible, that they were the best Ohio State team in 25 years, that they were the best team in the country, that they were the best offense and the best defense and had the most talent. I thought the Penn State game showed, yes, they are excellent, but they're not invincible when they play somebody who has players. Penn State had some players. Michigan has some players. I think a few more skill guys than Penn State did because Penn State never felt that dangerous offensively. I think Michigan will feel more dangerous offensively next week. Again, I certainly don't think Ohio State's going to lose, but on the road, I think it's a reminder that, yeah, they're really good. Ohio State's really good, but there are at least a handful of teams in this conference I think can play with them. I think Penn State was one. I think Michigan's going to be another.
I think they also need to. I think we've talked about this before, but no one else has really challenged it since then. The Pete Werner situation, he got picked on a lot in that first quarter.
I don't think I agree. Jeff Hafley after the game. Pratt Freiermuth is their best pass catcher at tight end. I think he had 6 catches. They gave him some of the outs. Hafley said they didn't get hurt big on that. Hafley thought Warner played pretty well. I know what you're saying. They're going to have to find the right matchups next week. But they were actually happy with the way they limited Hamler and Freiermuth and didn't let them break anything. So I think it'll be a test, and we'll be there. Steven, Nathan, Doug for cleveland.com.